I'm going to preview the Baylor at Texas Tech football game, which will be played on October 19th at 3 p.m. Central Time on espn2. And as of this recording, Texas Tech is favored by 6.5 points. Some people say, how come the spread's that low? I would have thought it would have been a little bit more, but I think I know why. Texas Tech's 4 wins out of 5, 1 possession wins. Plain and simple when you look at it, and they have been outgained in almost every football game except the North Texas game. So, and that is a fact. I've done my due diligence on that part, and I will even go into more in depth on the stats for Texas Tech this year as a team, as well as some players to keep an eye on. Now, offensively, they run an air raid offense, of course. Though they can run the ball. Don't get me wrong, they can. They average 39.3 points per game, 290.2 passing yards per game, 170.3 rushing yards per game. The offensive line has allowed 35 tackles for loss and 7 sacks, 23 pass breakups, 26 quarterback hurries. So they have allowed a lot of pressure. They do have 3 interceptions and 5 fumbles, and 135 first downs, 10 possessions, like 29 minutes, 5 seconds, 44 for 90 on third down, and 3 for 10 on fourth down. The 2-3/3 deep on the offensive line, weight 307.7 pounds. So what are some players to keep an eye on offense? Of course, they're starting quarterback Baron Morton. Number 2, 6'2", 220-pound quarterback that is a junior. And y'all can check out the stats in the description below, just to make things faster. And honestly, Taj Brooks. Number 28, 5'10", 230-pound running back that is a senior. He doesn't really catch passes a lot. He only has 6 receptions on the year. He's more like the bell cow more than anything. Then after that, it's like Cameron Dickey, number 33, 5'10", 215-pound running back that is a freshman. And that's a big difference when you look at the rushing yards for Brooks to Dickey. Very big difference. And I get Taj Brooks was out for the Washington State game, and they got dominated, to say the least, when you look at the score and everything. Now, offensively, they do have like some really good wide receivers. Starting with Josh Kelly, number 3, 6'1", 195-pound wide receiver as a senior. They do have Caleb Douglas, number 5, 6'4", 205-pound wide receiver as a junior. There's Court Eakin, number 8, 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver that is a sophomore. And all those three guys, by the way, above 300 yards receiving, including the very first guy over 500 yards receiving. There's Jalen Conyers as a tight end, like 6'4", 265 pounds as a senior, number 12, over 100 yards receiving. Of course, they do have like Jordan Brown, that's questionable. Number 4, 5'11", 185-pound wide receiver that is a senior. And after that, it's like John Carlos Miller, number 9, 6'5", 240-pound tight end as a junior. And one guy, I want to mention a few, like 2 more guys here, and that's really it. And that's Micah Hudson, as we all know, out of high school. He was a really heller did. I mean, number 1, 6 foot, 195-pound wide receiver as a freshman, Dre McCray. Number 10, 5'9", 185-pound wide receiver as a senior. And that's really all the guys you really need to know. Unless you want to know more, then you can check out the description below. And defensively, they run 3-3-5, and they have improved some, but they still have been outgained in those football games. You got to keep that in mind. They allow 32.3 points per game. They allow 308 passing yards per game, 148.2 rushing yards per game, 137 first downs, 6 interceptions, 3 fumbles. That's one thing Texas Tech has done in all their wins, is forcing turnovers and getting points off them, and that's a big difference in the ball game. And let's be clear, that Abilene Christian game, if they didn't get 8 points on turnovers, they lose the football game in regulation. Sorry, I'm going the way it is, and kind of the same thing for those other games that they won by 1 possession. But I mean, it's just telling the truth. 30 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, which is not that many. 13 pass breakups, 19 quarterback hurries, blocked one kick this year. Time possession is like 30 minutes, 56 seconds. Third down defense, 33 for 83. Fourth down, 8 for 15. I will say they do allow a lot of yards, but once they get to the and teams get into the red zone, but when they get to the red zone, they are better in the red zone. So I'm just saying that up front. And the average 2/3 deep on the defensive line, through 287.9 pounds. 2/3 deep on nose tackle, such as defensive tackle, 307.5 pounds. And at the edge position, just 268 and 1/3 pounds. What are some players that keep an eye on defense for Texas Tech? Jacob Rodriguez, number 10, 6'1", 230-pound linebacker that is a junior. Then there's Ben Roberts, number 13, 6'3", 230-pound linebacker that is a sophomore. There's C.J. Baskerville, and I apologize if I'm looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff here. Number 9, 6'3", 210-pound defensive back that is a senior. There's Marion Horn. Number 4, 5'11", 180-pound defensive back that is a sophomore. And he's questionable for this game. Last time I checked, but it wouldn't shock me if he played or not. Is Chapman Lewis. Number 25, 6'1", 280-pound defensive back that is a freshman. And there's obviously A.J. McCarty. And Baylor fans, you should be familiar with him. He was at Baylor. Then he transferred over to Texas Tech. Number 1, 6', 109-pound defensive back that is a junior. That is Bryce Ramirez, number 3, 6'2", 235-pound linebacker. That is a senior. There's Amarian Banks, number 8, 6'5", 300-pound defensive lineman. That is a junior. And there's Brendan Jordan. Might as well mention him. 6', 210-pound defensive back. That is a sophomore. And there's John Curry, number 6, 6'2", 225-pound linebacker. That is a freshman. There's Marquez Stevenson, number 12, 6'1", 109-pound defensive back. That's a freshman. And there's Quincy. I'm just going to go over like depth defensive linemen because they rotate guys, and that's number 5, 6'2", 315-pound defensive lineman. That's a senior. And there's Jaden Cofield, number 51, 6'2", 310-pound defensive lineman. That's a freshman. DeBraylon Carroll, number 52, 6 foot, 300-pound defensive lineman as a senior. There's Trevin McAlpine, number 95, 6'3", 305-pound defensive lineman as a sophomore. There's Brandon Lux, number 0, 5'11", 185-pound defensive back. That's a senior. Braylon Rigsby, number 94, 6'2", 295-pound defensive lineman as a freshman. Okay, and there's Amir Washington. I know it's mostly defensive linemen from here that I want to mention, but I might as well mention some other guys like he's 6'2", 270-pound linebacker. That's a freshman. Okay, that's pretty much all the guys you know, and of course they're most used punter is Jack Burgess, number 41, 6'3", 215-pound punter as a junior. And they really have used one guy most of the time on on the kicking situations. Gino Garcia, number 99, 6'2", 215-pound kicker as a senior. And of course, I might as well mention the other guy just in case he does play or not. And that's Reese Burkhardt, number 38, 6'1", 200-pound kicker that is a senior. And I want to make this up front on the Baylor side of things. I know Texas State's getting healthier. I get that. But Baylor is going to get Caden Jenkins back and like a start position guy in. I know he's a transfer from Western Kentucky. I should know the guy's name by now. I'm gonna look up his name. It's the name escapes me right now, but I know he was really good at Western Kentucky last year. And oh yeah, Kendrick Simpkins is the other guy I'm gonna mention. and a healthier uh, Cooper Lance, because remember he was coming off a foot injury, and Gorman Randolph was not exactly 100% when he played last. And both teams are coming up with a bye week, obviously, and both teams could make adjustments on the play calling for this game and everything. So, and one thing I'm going to say across the board for Baylor: play your hair on fire. All the pressure's on Texas Tech. They're undefeated in the conference right now. You're not. And you don't even have a conference win to your name yet. And everything. The pressure's on them. Because seriously, they don't want to lose this game to be lower in the conference than right now. Because it's like really heavy up top on the undefeated teams right now. But you get the whole point here and everything. You gotta limit your penalties as much as possible. And of course, if Texas Tech does penalties, it is what it is, and you can't let the refs get to your head. You gotta make plays to win. Of course, you do need to have a sense of urgency, and I'm sure the players are having that right now, because they know they have not lived up. Have not done as well so far this year because of that 2-4 record. And 2 of those losses, 1 possession. Colorado lost. How many times out of 10 does a Hail Mary really occur? As a touchdown? Not that often. BYU they just started slow. And that's another thing. You got to start slow, start faster, and as in don't wait and see what Texas Tech does. Go out and play. And then make adjustments. You got to make adjustments quicker, too, throughout the game. And all this. Now, in special teams, of course, don't have special teams blunders. And you know what those are. Don't allow big returns to happen in the kicking game or the punting. Whether it's a punt or a kickoff. Obviously, if you have that, that'll help, because those hidden yardage does make a difference in the ball game. It does. Make your extra points, make your field goals in this game. You gotta be good blocking too. You don't have block kicks or block punts like that Iowa State game last game. And another thing I want to say across the board. Obviously, what you did wrong last game, fix it for this game, and what you did right last game, bring it to this game. I know that's simple. It's being generic, but you get the whole point. I'm going to also mention now is just more of defense right now. You need to find a way to slow down Taj Brooks. You're not going to be able to stop both the pass and the run, but I would prefer to stop the run and limit Taj Brooks as much as possible. And if you could technically get them under 150 yards rushing, you give yourselves a chance to win the ball game. That's what the other teams have done, and have been within 1 score in their losses. And force Barrymore to win the game through the air. And I get they have wide receivers, and you got to be good pass coverage. I know. But you need to get some pressure on him and make him feel you with some hits. Obviously, you don't want to have personal foul, roughing the passer, or personal foul targeting. But you get the whole point. You got to get some pressure on him through quarterback hurries and sacks, and set them behind the chains. Get them the 3rd and 6. And remember, this is a revenge game from last year for Baylor. They got beat up pretty bad last year, and after that game, it's their season's pretty much done. And that was the year after that Texas Tech got beat up by Baylor, too, so in the year prior. So they want exact revenge. You got to have revenge on your mind. And I'm sure for some of those players, I know there's a former Texas Tech player in Steve Lennon who he wants to have a good game if he can. Because, look, he wants to prove those coaches wrong about him. Seriously. I'm not just trying to single out one guy on purpose, but he is from Texas Tech. And I know this, like Kyle Jordan, that's from that area as well. But you get the whole point. You can't get beat deep, and make them force long, and get them off the field on third down, please, and be good on third down defense, and even fourth down defense, and get some turnovers in this football game. Okay, now the offensive side of the ball. It's simple. Texas Tech's gonna you gotta have to run the ball like better than an Iowa State game, obviously. You need to get up to like, I don't know, between 100 and 130 yards rushing. I don't know about 150, above 150 to be honest, but you get the whole point. You gotta have a run game to help Sawyer Robertson out, and remember, he's from that area, and he wants to have a good game if possible, and don't hyperventilate. Like for his sake. The same thing goes for Steve Lynn and some other guys on the Baylor football team that are from that area. When you look at the cities and everything, and same thing goes for Steve Lynn, who was at Texas Tech last year. I mean, it's just the truth. You got to take care of the ball because, look, Texas Tech has won the turnover battle in every win they had this year. And they got some points off of it. Another thing I want to mention across the board on defense, limit the points on turnovers to 0 as much as possible. I mean, and force them to field goals instead of giving them touchdowns in this ball game. Now, offensively, obviously, if you need to get yourself into scoring range, whether it's for a field goal, which you need to make field goals, or get a touchdown. And I know Baylor's not gone to the red zone a bunch this year when compared to other teams, but when they've been down there, they've been converting. So you got to find a way to score in the red zone in this ball game. Whether it's I prefer touchdowns instead of field goals, but you get the whole point here. And the wide receivers need to win their one-on-one battles. Same thing goes for tight ends, and having Michael Trigg back for a few. I know he was back the previous game, but you get the point. It definitely helps to have a tight end like him. And take what the defense gives you on the passing game, and you got to be good on the blocking, whether it's run blocking or pass blocking. You get the whole point. And take care of the ball, not just interceptions, which Sawyer did have that last game, and he tried to force one to the end zone when he actually had yards in front of him on the ground. But you get the whole point. And Sawyer, if you need to take off and run, and the defense is giving you all that, take off and run. I mean, instead of forcing it into coverage. I mean, that's the thing, and you got to be smart decision making here. And I'm just going to also mention that the running backs do need to step up as well a little bit. And yes, the O-line needs to do something on the run. And I get Texas Tech is better at stopping the run. And maybe in this game you need to run block really good to help Sawyer Robertson in quarterback power runs in this ball game, because they have not done so well against against quarterbacks that are that could run the ball. So I'm just saying that as a fact. And they have given up a lot of yards to teams. And let's be honest, they're fortunate to beat ACU. ACU should win for the 1 instead of the 2 to win the ball game in overtime. They should have tried to force another overtime, see what happens. I mean, and you kind of have to throw that game against Washington State out the door, because I get they would probably still have lost it anyway, but they got ran over in all those other games. And they do give up a lot of passing yards. So you need to get some explosive plays in this ball game here as much as possible, whether it's and maybe you have to do like wide receiver screen and go, or some slants or deep shots, but you get the whole point. Take a defense gives you in all this, and literally, like I said, the pressure's on Texas Tech, and it's not like Texas Tech doesn't need a win. They still do, just to keep track in the Big 12 title game race. But Baylor has more to play for. First of all, they need a conference win. Second of all, they try to turn that losing skid away into the turn that losing skid into like turn that losing skid off and get a started winning streak. And I don't want to look ahead to the next games or anything like that, but you could look at that schedule, who they're going to play, you'll know why. So the urgency, I'm sure the players want to play better than they have been up to this point. I mean, 2-4, that's not ideal going into the bye week, and with 3 losses in a row at that, and 2 of those were close. And you gotta find a way to close out ball games. I mean, that's another thing in case you are up in this game. And let's just go out and don't let the crowd intimidate you or let them intimidate you for the Texas Tech players. Go in there and say, and not really say to them, but through your actions, while being responsible and not give penalties or anything, you're not going to push us around today unlike a year ago. We're going in here and we're going to show you who's boss. And they got to play with an edge. And I know Texas Tech's going to play with an edge. And kind of like what I said earlier about Texas Tech on how they've been winning games. Joey McGuire said it as much in his interview with 365 Sports on how come they've been winning. Because of the turnover margin. And the game points on turnovers. That's the only reason why they've won like 4 straight games. Sorry. And yes, that North Texas game was not close, but you get the whole point. They forced a lot of turnovers and they scored a bunch of points on turnovers in this ball game here. So, and you got to find a way to try to keep up with Texas Tech if you can. And don't back down to Texas Tech. It's a rivalry game. And we need to be amped up for it. And I know Texas Tech will be amped up for it. So you got to match their energy. Okay? Let's just go out there, give our all, see what happens. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 7 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. So we might have to score a like video. Comment video really helps the YouTube algorithm. So more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well. So more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribe, hit subscribe button. Hit the notification bell as well.